Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Go for a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/campaign to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be.
It took a lifetime to find the person you want to marry. Finding the perfect engagement ring is a lot easier. At BlueNile.com, you can find or design the ring you've always dreamed of with help from Blue Nile's jewelry experts who are on hand 24/7 to answer questions and the ease and convenience of shopping online. For a limited time, get $50 off your purchase of $500 or more with code SPOTIFY at BlueNile.com. That's $50 off with code SPOTIFY at BlueNile.com.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Don't Blame Me. The last one. Period. Goodbye.
We're done. Bye.
We're done. Bye, motherfucking bitches. No, this is the last podcast episode that is being done over Zoom. And if you're not like a podcast video watcher on our Patreon, you might have like gotten so used to the Zoom and like it feels like we're in person. But when I tell you, when we get together, it's gonna blow your mind.
Be prepared.
Gird your loins. The bitches are getting back.
I'm so excited.
I am fucking thrilled. Oh, I should give you a full intro to the podcast. For Don't Blame Me, we're an advice podcast. You call in, leave us voicemails, and then we give you fantastic, amazing advice. And the we in question is me, Megan, and my co-host,
Melissa. I didn't want to talk over you.
Those are the moments that they're going to be able to notice a difference.
Yeah.
Me whispering, being like, I hope I'm not talking over. What a time. What a time. I'm so fucking excited.
I can't wait to hold your hand again.
Here's the thing. Neither of us are like touchy-feely, like hugging kind of people. I'm going to like that. It's what this pandemic has done is like for the people that I do like, you know, touch and I'm okay with touching. I'm going to be like, oh my God, can't wait to give you a hug. And then for everyone else, my aversion to touching has gone up like 10,000%. Mm-hmm. Like now I really don't want to touch or hug anyone or any of that. But yeah. Oh, let me give you the number before we get into our talking shit, catching up. If you want to call into the podcast, you can leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976. And international listeners, you can send us an audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. And we ask that you write down what you're going to say. Practice it. Set a timer on your phone. See how long, because you have 3 minutes before you get cut off. And 3 minutes is like a very long time.
It is. If you write things out, you'll see how long it is.
Yeah, think about it like writing, like when you do like speeches in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And you're
those
like,
were long. And you were like, I can't fill this time with 3 minutes.
Exactly. You're like, what do you mean? I wrote a page and a half. Like, how does this work? So make sure you include your age, you include your pronouns. And if you want to include your zodiac sign, it has to be, you've included everything. Like you've almost included your blood type. You've almost included like GPS location, your social security. Like if you want to include your zodiac, but you have to include everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else. I like truly don't really care that much if you're a Taurus. Like I just don't.
You used to.
Well, I enjoyed guessing. And then people just started letting me know and like giving it at the beginning of the call and not giving other important information. And like we wasted time on like a Scorpio joke, which I'm like, been there, done that. Like,
yeah, true.
Oh, 18 or over, have your parents' permission. Is there anything else I'm forgetting?
No,
it's completely anonymous. No one will know who you are except for us if we decide to like look deep into your soul, your phone number.
Which we have done.
We have done. Sometimes we gotta. We have to
look back to see what else you've called in about, because they usually connect.
They do usually connect. Then we can give better advice. But I was also thinking, like, you know, that time that the girl, so there was somebody about like a family, and there's like a family secret and a murder. And so naturally we tried to find.
Oh, okay. I admit when we were giving advice, but you know, sometimes we're just a little
nosy. Just a little bit. And
if you don't want us to be nosy, call *67. I think that blocks the number, right?
Yeah. And then *69 is how you call back. Which has become obsolete now that we have caller ID.
Yeah.
I use *67 all the fucking time. I think I'm the only like fully grown adult who like still will like prank call my enemies and just like hear them on the other line. And I will just be like, you just hit the like, hello, and then just get like increasingly frustrated, and then I hang up and do it again. I don't do it that much anymore.
You're now in your late 20s. And
no. Excuse me. A casting director could be listening to this and not seeing what I look like.
Your birthday is on the internet.
I know. How do I get that removed?
It's everywhere. I don't think that it's possible for you to get it removed.
I also don't think it matters.
I don't think so either.
At all. What really matters is my height. That's my biggest issue in life. My height and one boob is so much bigger than the other, but that's just my personal.
Yeah,
struggle.
I mean, you can slip a cutlet in there.
Oh, I think I used to own my cutlets from Freakish, but season 1, I had one pair of cutlets. Season 2, they were like, we got you hair extensions. We got you a second pair of cutlets. And I was like, oh, to switch out. They're like, no, we're double stuffing these Oreos. And I was like, okay. No. Melvin made fun of me so much because, you know, he had to like see me in when we had to do sexy scenes. It's just me in pasties. And he was like, damn, those cutlets are really fucking misleading. And I was like, you've seen me. All you see me in is like at normal times, I'm wearing a tank top with no bra. Like, you know, those aren't my fucking tits. So funny. What's new with you? You got your second shot. Would you like to inform the people how it's going? How you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I got my second one. I was feverish until Monday morning.
3 days.
Yeah. So I got it on last Friday. And then since then, I was feeling a little nauseous every day and kind of like on the verge of a panic attack. So I had some racing in my heart, but today I feel fine. So today is Thursday.
That's how many days is that? It's less than a week.
Yeah. I mean,
just a little.
Because I got my shot on Friday. So.
Oh, it is Thursday. Yeah. So it's like just right around.
Yeah. I was super tired. So I just slept it off. Luckily, I didn't have that many recordings. Actually, this is the first thing I'm recording this week, which I usually have several. So
that is
worked out.
Fuck yeah. Well, everybody get your vaccine. Side effects can sometimes suck, but I mean, side effects of COVID.
I would rather have those side effects than COVID. So, and this only lasted a few days, and I'll be back in these streets coming soon.
She'll be hoeing in these fucking streets. So we just went and talked for 40 minutes. Too long. We're going to have to cut this, but we're going to upload a bonus episode if you want to hear. It's all very interesting and entertaining, which is why we're not just cutting it.
I think if you're on dating apps too, you'd find it fun.
Okay. Well, let's get into our episode. Oh, and I don't think I mentioned this, but the advice that we give, it's honest. It's straightforward. We give advice like we would give advice to each other. We're the friends that you call when you want the truth. And some people think we're bitchy, but most of those people are Republicans who are upset that.
Or they feel personally attacked by someone else's call.
Exactly.
That had nothing to do with them. I mean, like,
don't you love when that happens?
That they latched onto. Yeah. And then the person calls back and they're like, the actual caller is like, thank you so much.
That's exactly what I needed to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to start the episode with our update. And this is where a caller gives us an update on the advice that we previously gave and find out what happens.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
So I called in from season 7, episode 21. And I called in about the fact that I had moved out separately and then I was moving in with my boyfriend. And I kind of wasn't totally sure if I was correct in saying that like anything else we needed for the apartment that I didn't want to pay for. I didn't feel like I needed to pay for because I was already bringing like 75% of the stuff that we needed from my place that I paid for out of pocket. So yeah, that's what I called about.
Cool. Give us what's happening now? What's your update? Yeah, what's the sitch?
So we moved in together May 1st. So it's been like a month. And everything's been really good. Before we moved in, it was kind of, like the weeks leading up to it. And, we're like scheduling like couch delivery and he's like picking out a TV and stuff. And, just like stupid little stuff. And he's like, wow, like this is really adding up. And I'm like, funny you mentioned that. So basically I kind of just told him like, look, obviously anything we need, like we're now going into this together. Obviously we're going to split it, like whatever we need. I said, but if there's anything that like you want to upgrade and get like a crazy TV or like, you need like furniture for like your little home office. Like I don't have the money to be putting out for that right now, but also too, like I paid for all this stuff. Like, if you want something, I feel like it should maybe come from you. And luckily he was super receptive to it. Like he insisted on getting some like crazy TV. And then he also really insisted on a beverage fridge specifically for the dining room. And I was like, okay, that's coming out of your pocket. Like totally unnecessary.
So like not even just like in the living room while you're sitting on the couch, like specifically in the dining room?
Specifically in the dining room. He actually came out kind of cute. He made like a little bar out of it.
Okay, so I was like, whatever. I'm gonna love with you. That sounds hideous. But like if he made a moment, that's like better, but like that just sounds so fucking ugly.
Yeah. He bought it and I was like, what's happening with this? He's like, I didn't think it out, but so we fixed that. But luckily he was super receptive to it. I think also just to clarify, I had moved out by myself with the intention of us moving in together, like knowing that it was going to be like a temporary thing. And also I am a spreadsheet bitch. So like, you better believe like all finances and like, how much do you pay every month for your phone? How much do you pay for car insurance? Like we have the whole thing broken out. But definitely, if you plan on moving in with a significant other or a friend, like talk about finances because like you guys said, it's such a big deal. And I feel like it also just lets you know, like if you guys are on the same level, like just, same wavelength of what's important, what's not, what you can kind of handle, that kind of thing. So you guys were very right. And I did wind up selling some stuff that did not make it to the new place. So that was very good advice. I don't know why I never thought of that, but thank you guys so much.
Well, thank you so much for giving us the update and calling in and listening to the podcast. And it was great to talk to you.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah,
oh my
of
gosh.
Course. And we are back and it's great. This was one that, sometimes I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
She
was nervous. Megan was nervous.
But to be fair, like most of the time when it is things like that, it's because someone didn't give as much detail and information. And what we had said, like we were like, okay, this is okay if he's like upgrading, like that would make sense, like to cover the cost. And then her being like, oh yeah, that's exactly what it is. I'm like, okay, great. Because it was the other stuff. It would have been like, bitch, what? Mm-hmm. And then it would have been uncomfortable. Okay. Well, should we get into our calls?
We shall.
Hi, Megan and Melissa. My friend who's 25, he has been making me feel uncomfortable with what he talks about with me over text and just over the phone. I'm 22 and we've been friends for about 2.5 years. We went on a study abroad trip together pre-COVID and our host families lived close to each other. So we spent a lot of time together walking to class and to campus, riding the bus. And we got really, really close as our study abroad group only had like 17 people. And so he would like walk me home late because I was kind of in a sketchy area. So he would walk me home late at night and make sure I got home safe from the bars. Anyway, we hung out a little bit after we got back from the abroad trip, like throughout the summer of 2019, until he moved away to go to school across the country. I have always seen our friendship as only friends, and I see him kind of like a brother, though I sometimes get this feeling that he may have a crush on me because he will blatantly call me babe over text or over the phone and like kind of flirt with me and like always type up on my Snapchat things and like leave me comments and stuff, but I always brush it off and just say ha ha ha, because again, I see him like a brother. Lately, he's begun talking about sexual things with me and alluding to the fact that he may want to like do things with me over text. The idea of that makes me really uncomfortable, as again, I only think of him as a brother. He started mentioning like sex and anal over text conversation one night, and I straight up told him I was uncomfortable talking about that and I didn't want to talk about it with him. I told him I don't want to talk about that with you. And I blatantly told him to stop. And then he followed up by saying, sorry if I made you uncomfortable. I thought it would be like a one-time thing and he would move on. But the other day he sent me a TikTok, and it was a TikTok that talked about like DOMs and subs and butt plugs. And it was basically just things I, again, didn't want to talk about with him. I ignored the video and I didn't respond. But I don't feel unsafe or threatened by him. I just need help figuring out a way to make sure he understands that I don't like discussing sexual things with him before he makes it a habit. We don't talk every day, but the last 2 times I have talked to him, it's been along these lines. I've also asked a mutual friend of ours who has the same relationship with him. At least I think we're both just like kind of friends with him, and we met on the city abroad trip. If he ever refers to her as babe over text, and she said no. So again, I'm just kind of uncomfortable, and I don't know if I should distance myself or anything. Any advice would be helpful. I love the podcast. Hope you guys are doing well and staying safe. Anyway, hope you can help me. Thanks, guys. Bye.
It is a habit, and he knows it makes you uncomfortable, and he does not care. He's also not your friend.
No. He's not your friend. He doesn't understand boundaries. He's continuously crossing the lines when you've told him to stop, and then he waits and then brings it up again. And just know, like, yes, you should stop talking to him because he's not your friend. He's disgusting, quite honestly.
Disgusting. Because like this is like you have set your boundaries, and he is choosing deliberately to ignore them because he's like, fuck your boundaries. Like, that's what that is. And it's like, this is not any normal dude. If like you're calling someone babe or saying like really flirtatious stuff and you're brushing it off, that's like, oh, okay, let me back off. But like, he knows you're uncomfortable. Like, there is nothing that you can say or do. This isn't on you to like, well, how do I communicate in a way that he'll like better understand? Like, how do I really make this clear? Like, you've done that. He knows he's choosing to disrespect you. Like, he's choosing that. And that's on him.
And then he's going even further than simply like flirting and calling you names like that.
That's like sexual harassment.
Taking it to a sexual place, and he's harassing you.
Like, that's not okay. Do we know how old the caller is?
She said she's 22.
And he's 25.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is just nasty. And like, this can be one of those things that like, hey, this was one of your really close friends when you were studying abroad and they were like a brother to you while you were there, and like pretend that they died there. Like, block their number, like don't talk to them, like cut them out, like, because like the friendship that you thought you had and that relationship, like that is not the relationship it is. This is the relationship it is. And like, it's not on like fucking like women for like the fucking creepy ass men who are doing this. Like, it's not on us to handhold someone through our boundaries and like spoon feed it to them, because like they're not like, sure, men are dumb. They're not that fucking stupid. Like he knows that this is your boundary. He's not like, he hears you. He knows that. And he's blatantly choosing to disrespect your boundaries.
He doesn't care. He thinks he's going to manipulate you and bully you into doing what he wants.
And the dom sub thing, like that's like, ugh. I'm already so uncomfortable with someone who like flirts with you and like you're not into that, or you like shut it down. And it makes you uncomfortable or whatever. But like, there is a different level of like talking about the sexual things. That's also like, he like, as somebody who's gotten like the unsolicited dick pics, to me, that sounds like he's also probably getting off on the fact that you are uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And that's super fucked up.
It's a power thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to assert his dominance over you, which is why he was sending you that.
And also just makes like the whole like BDSM community like look bad when there are people who, you know, the whole thing is like healthy consenting stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, fuck this dude. Not your friend. You don't have to say anything. I literally just say block him on absolutely everything.
Yeah.
Creep, 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 creep. Why do men? Why do they?
I don't understand. I really don't.
It's a full-time job. Hope it goes well. I think it will, because blocking is a power move.
Yeah, but then there's like there's also the problem that her other friend still talks to him.
Yeah, but I guess the question is like, are these friends that you
sustaining friends that you're around physically?
Yeah, exactly. Like if they're not around, like if they're going to stay friends with him, but like at the same time, like I think if you said you asked your other friend, like, does he ever call you babe or like flirty or anything? If you send your friend, like, this is the stuff he's sending me and I've said it makes me really uncomfortable. Like if that is a good friend to you, and also, yeah, just a good friend to you and like being like aware and safe, they would not be friends with that person anymore.
Very true.
I hate people like, well, they're not like that with me. I'm like, okay.
That's you.
That's so you don't care.
Yeah.
Okay. Gross. Should we get on to the next one?
Hi, I don't want to run out of time, so I'm just going to get right into it. I'm 19. My pronouns are she, her. So I used to have a very toxic friend in middle school. We went to different high schools, so it was really easy to naturally drift apart. We don't talk anymore, but we still follow each other on Instagram, and every once in a while, she'll always comment or DM me saying how much she loves me and how she'll always love me and how she's so proud of me for getting in university. I didn't mind the messages at first because we aren't friends anymore, but I can tell that she wants to be nice and keep in touch. Fast forward to today, we didn't talk for over a year, and she recently DM'd me with a video where she said an inside joke that happened in 6th grade. And I'm going into 3rd year university now. It's been almost a decade where we haven't seen each other, and I feel like she's still clinging to our friendship in the past. And along with the video, she messaged me saying that she's proud of me. I don't know why, because I didn't achieve anything recently. But I've been on a social media break, so I've been logged off Instagram for a while, and when I logged back in, I even saw that she DM'd me again, telling me to watch her video because she saw that I didn't open her DM yet. I hearted her messages and just replied, LOL, because I didn't want to be mean, but I always make sure I message her in a way that won't spark a conversation, if that makes sense. Like I said, she will only message me every once in a while, but every time she does, I just get more annoyed. I never told her that I didn't want to be friends anymore because I thought we would naturally drift apart, and we did. But I didn't think that she would still message me. For context, I don't like being confrontational unless I have to. And we live in the same general area, so if I were to bump into her, I feel like it'd be so much less awkward knowing that we just drifted apart rather than me straight up telling her I didn't want to be friends. That video was the last straw, and I decided to unfollow her, and I also made her unfollow me, but I'm scared because she knows where I live, and I don't think she's going to do anything extreme. She's still a reasonable person despite being extremely toxic, but I just don't want to provoke anything or have her DM me asking me why I unfollowed her. I don't know why, but I feel scared for some reason. I don't even do anything to make her think we are still friends. I don't like her photos or comment or message. She's always the one commenting or DMing me first every once in a while, and she just can't take a hint. So like I said, I unfollowed her and made her unfollow me, so I'm just waiting to see what happens, but I still want to know what you guys think. Thanks.
So my first instinct was to say, like, just restrict her, but then you said you already unfollowed her and stuff. But that reminds me of my friend from high school and college who is very toxic, very much trumpet out here, still doing it. And I had like just muted her, but then I got so fed up with things that I knew she was still saying that I wanted to make a statement to let her know that I did not want to be friends with her anymore, because she was still like messaging me, like checking in on me and stuff. And I was never forthcoming. I stopped even when I would like go home. I haven't reached out to her in years because I didn't want to see her. So, and I made sure, because my mom is always like posting that I'm at home on Facebook, and I was like, do not post anymore when I come home. But I at first had restricted her, but then I, like I said, wanted to make the statement, and I just blocked her and had her unfollow. I did the unfollow first, but then I was like, I might do the thing where I check in to see like what she's saying now, and then it would just become me spiraling into disliking her more. So I just blocked her on everything and just let it be.
Well, blocking is a complete sentence. So I think like, I don't want to like freak you out more, caller, but like if you wanted to be like, oh, we just like, I don't want to have to tell her I don't want to be friends, like you did. Like when you blocked her and had her unfollow you, like
that made a statement now. And so like when I was making the statement too, if you just wanted it to be so she wasn't seeing things and you didn't have to respond and she didn't know when you had read things, you should have just restricted her. But now the line has been drawn.
I think why you're scared is because like you accidentally did something very confrontational, which like is blocking. And I think like, would it be great if it was like, oh, we just grew apart? Sure. But like, that's only one half of you. So I think like, while that can be nice, and I don't want you to like I don't think you did the wrong thing in blocking her. Either. I think that's the right choice you should have made. I just don't think that, I don't think you realize that like, that's all you have to do. You don't have to have that conversation. And sometimes with these kinds of friends and stuff, like there is, especially toxic friends, like there is no polite and like cordial way to do it unless you both are simultaneously on the same page. Or you're lying about it. Like she might lie about, I've had like friendships where like not friends with that person anymore. And like from like friends of friends I'll hear around, they're like, oh yeah, they said like no bad blood. And I'm like, that's literally not at all true. But like, they're just embarrassed and they don't want to like admit to that or say that like it ended, it was dramatic and like, you know what I mean? And so that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think ending friendships, like
you gave her hints. She didn't pick up on it. Also, like you being scared that she's going to show up at your house. Has she shown up before? If she hasn't, I don't think that that's going to be an issue. But if you feel like she is, then you just need to write up a statement of what, like, be prepared in case she does come, because then that will minimize the dread, I think, or in case you run into her around town. Yeah, you just have something just like we just grew apart and I don't want to be friends anymore. You're going to have to say it if you do see her face to face, or you're going to have to turn around and run away. I've done that. I've hid. I think that's fine. Like you're allowed to hide if you like see someone you, like, from somebody we saw on the podcast. We had on the podcast one time. Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Yeah, sometimes these friendship things, like it is awkward and uncomfortable. And I think like, yeah, if you see her in person, you're going to have to say something. And I think what you say is like, I'm sorry if that hurt your feelings. I just like, I know that we have like a lot of history together, but like, we just don't really mesh as friends. And I'm like, I wish you the best, but I just don't have an interest in like maintaining a friendship. And yeah, like I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, but I just want to be like upfront and honest with you. And that's if you see her.
And that's on that.
Best of luck. Fuck toxic middle school friends. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. We are back from our break, and it's time to get into just the calls.
Hi, Megan and Melissa. I am 24. I use she, her pronouns, and I am a Leo. I'm basically calling today because I feel like I'm not steady enough in my life to seriously date anyone, if that makes sense. I've kind of been in this situation for a few years now, and it's beginning to make me feel a little bit lonely. So I had a boyfriend from 16 to 21 who was great, but it ended after it ran its course. I took some time after that, just for myself, which was awesome, and everyone definitely should do that after a breakup if they can. But then once I was ready to get back into dating, I was graduating university, and I was set on moving elsewhere in the country, if not internationally. So this made me resistant to start anything serious because I was leaving and I didn't feel like I had enough time to build a serious relationship. So I just didn't really know what to do. But I met a guy I really liked during that time, and we both wanted to be serious, but we avoided making it serious. So we pretended it was casual, and it was really messy. Definitely wouldn't recommend anyone do that. So I had a bad experience with that. And then I moved away and COVID happened, and I've since come back. After I came back, I started dating a new guy who I honestly like way more than I expected to. I just kind of found him on dating apps when I was bored. We met 8 months ago and have been exclusive for about 7. So I'm now in a situation where I'm deciding what I want to do when I finish grad school in a couple of months, with the main options being continuing with the PhD in person at the school I'm virtually attending, which is halfway across the country, or working somewhere, maybe here, I'm not sure. The guy I'm currently seeing is really supportive and sweet, but he's kind of been in my shoes before, which makes it hard. He kind of feels like he's holding back from getting too attached to me because he is scared that I might be leaving. I've talked to a therapist about it, so I kind of just want general advice. I feel like I just shouldn't date anyone, and I should be alone to avoid hurting myself or them. I'm always candid with anyone I date about the fact that I might leave, but it still sucks. I basically just feel lost because it's like I can't have feelings for anyone because it's inevitable that it will end because of me. And it just seems impossible to expect for someone to want exactly what I do. And I'm not really sure if I can compromise my professional or personal goals in a way that is settled enough to date anyone seriously. If you guys have any advice, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks.
I think the thing is that like, it sucks that like things just kind of have to fall into place when you're dating. Like all of these things have to like serendipitously happen and all of that. And I think because you had a really long-term relationship and you've kind of taken that break, emotionally, you're like, okay, I am ready to do this again, but your life is not there yet. And like that sucks because then you do feel, I don't know, emotionally like it's really hard, but that is kind of what dating is. It's that sweet spot of like being emotionally and like physically available and like being able to do that. And I think that a lot of the time people try to combine. So it's like, okay, I'm taking a break. I'm not going to date and I'm going to throw myself into work. But like you're doing school. And so that's like on a specific timeline. So now that you are ready to like, yeah, seriously date someone again, your life kind of is you haven't decided what you want to do. I think it's completely valid that the guy that you're seeing is holding himself back from like really diving deep into like those feelings. I think subconsciously you probably are too. But I don't know if to be fair, my first advice is not like, oh yeah, you don't date. It's make a decision about what you're going to do, because that will spare everyone's kind of feelings. And then you might be someone who doesn't like to casually date, or you might be someone who like had been in a long-term relationship for most of like for most of your formidable years, and then you had one casual thing that didn't really work. That doesn't mean that casual relationships don't work for you. It could mean that, but I think like if you decide to go to this PhD program, you are abroad. How long are PhD programs?
It depends on the program.
Okay. Because I was going to say, like, I think, like, if you want to try casually dating again, and, like, I would also say that, like, really establish solo what casual dating is to you versus, like, oh, him and this person who I'm dating, we're going to talk about this together first. Like, establish what you want. Don't go into a date and be like, oh, what are you what are you into? Okay, we'll do this. And you kind of come up with that, because you kind of need to treat these men like, these are my shots. If you fit into what I'm doing, like, great, cool. Like, maybe it's like a random hookup, like sleep around, like fuck buddy, like anything like that. But also you could be someone who just doesn't like to casually date. And then I would say, I don't think that there is any harm, considering you say you're really transparent at the start. I don't think there's any harm in dating someone for 2 years seriously and then breaking up. Like, as long as there's communication throughout all of this, I think it's better if both parties are consenting to be in a relationship and like knowing that, hey, I'm only going to be here for this amount of time. I don't think that that's, I don't know. Like, I mean, I probably, like, if I met somebody and was like, oh, I'm only going to be here for 2 years, I would probably still date them. Like,
yeah,
if I mean, really wanted to.
And you don't know, like, in 2 years, things might be completely different for their circumstances as well. They might be like, they might say, okay, you do that and I'm coming with you. You don't know what life is going to be. But like, for me, I knew, like, emotionally, a couple of years ago I was ready to date, but because of my job that I just did not have time. And so I had to weigh what was more important to me. So, and people were like, well, you can make time alone. I was like, no, I physically cannot. I know what my limitations are, and I can't put like that much time into it for me. But if it's important, you just have to figure out what's important for you.
No, it's true.
Yeah. And I think like, thinking about, and you don't even know if you're going to do this program either.
Yeah.
So I think making the best decision for you as far as what you want with your career, and then everything else will fall in place.
Yeah. And I think it can suck to feel and know that someone's holding themselves back emotionally, but that's their right. And that's like, they know going into this, that this is what they need to do to protect themselves. And you both kind of knew that going into it. And like, I don't think you should like factor this person into your decision, because it sounds like right now that that's not even really on your mind, which I think is like, great. Don't factor this person in. But yeah, like, this is, if you're going to date someone and let them know that this is going to be timeline, or this is how long you're going to be here, or it might be on any of this, and they consent to that, that is also usually under like the pretense that they're going to adjust certain things to protect themselves, because they know that. And the same way that you probably do, but it's probably just harder when you're seeing it and you're feeling it on the receiving end, that can be hard. But I'm sure that Sky probably feels the same way about you. He probably feels like, yeah, there's definitely some like this arm's length between us, because neither of us really want to hurt the other person.
Yeah.
You don't want to hurt yourself, and you also don't want to hurt the other person. But yeah, it does suck to say that, like, there is, like, I love Mott so much, but like, I knew, I'm like, if I want, my career will not stay the same trajectory if I start dating someone, especially because like what I was doing at the time, and like what both of us, like, I'm creating my own shit. Like, so if I don't do it, no one else is that's not going to, like, it's not going to happen then. And so it's not like a normal, like 9 to 5 job or something. Like, I
Same
have
with
to,
me. If I'm not working, it's not going to get done.
Yeah. Like, if I'm not doing it, it's not like someone else is going to do it, or it's not like I'm not reporting this to anybody. Like, if I'm not doing it,
I'm
it's
not making
getting
money.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that's like the exact same thing. And like, that was like, at a point I was like, I want to do this. And like, if I didn't, I'm sure I would have spent more time doing like work kind of stuff. But like, it's about like what fulfills you. And like, that changes. Like, it changes of like, I've done this for X amount of time. That's really fulfilling. It doesn't fulfill me in the same way anymore. This is what's really missing from my life. I want to focus my energy on this. And then eventually, once you get comfortable in a relationship, you can that can maintain and continue to fulfill you. And you're still like obviously working the whole time, but like you can still do all of those things. Like it adds these ebbs and flows. And it's just harder when you're younger and those decisions are abroad and like moving and those things. Because it's not like law school in the same city where it's like, these are going to be a lot of really long nights and I'm going to be we're going to be a little emotionally distant, but we'll be physically close. But to be emotionally and physically distant is pretty hard to maintain that.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Megan and Melissa. I'm 22 and I'm starting to date women for the first time. I realized over the pandemic I was gay, and once I was vaccinated, I planned to date with this girl from Bumble who's 22 or 21. Things felt like they were going really well, clicked, and it was the most comfortable I've ever felt on a date. It really was like completely different from any of my experiences with men, and it felt like so validating, and we had like such a good time. Like, it was amazing. And since then, we've been on 2 other dates. They were really fun. They were very gay. And so again, like on these dates, it felt like we clicked. Everything just felt really easy. I wasn't like anxious. I didn't have like a pit in my stomach like I had with men. And it was just fun. And I felt like we were really connecting. And at the end of the 3rd date, we even said, you know, like, I really like you. I really like you, whatever. But in between the dates, it seems like she's really distant. She doesn't really feel like it doesn't seem like she really is like interested in talking that much, texting, whatever. And now she's going to an internship in New York this summer. And she really hasn't indicated whether or not she's interested in keeping in touch. We've only been talking for like 3 weeks now, but it is just like, they've been 3 really great weeks. And I'm kind of not sure where things are going from here. We don't get to see each other again before we leave, and I'm really disappointed about that, but I understand she's got a lot of friends that she wants to see and spend time with before the summer, so I'm trying, you know, not to be too bothered by it. And part of me just feels like maybe this was just a fling before she left for the summer, but at the same time, she hinted at going to this art exhibit together in October. So I'm very confused, and I'd like to know your perspectives of like, is this something, or am I making it to be bigger in my head? And I guess, like, how do I know when somebody's actually into me? Like, I don't understand how to figure it out, because I feel like I'm getting mixed messages here and I just don't understand. And I guess, like, also, should I just appreciate the time that I had with this girl and be over it, be done, and move on? Okay. I guess that's it. Also, I'm a Capricorn and she's an Aries. Love y'all. Bye.
I just have to start by saying she sounds so happy that I am not a warm and fuzzy person. That made me feel warm and fuzzy. Like, I can hear her smile.
Happy Pride.
Like, and it's fitting. Happy Pride June. That makes me so happy. I think like my instinct is thinking that like she has backburnered you but put on your favorite burner. Like, she front burnered you. Like, it's like a very like, I'm not getting this like, oh, I want to keep you around. Like, I'm going to string you along kind of thing. Like, what I'm getting is I met this really great girl. I have this internship over the summer. And I'm not really going to get to spend time with her. Like, beforehand, we've only known each other for a couple of weeks, but like, I'm still interested in her. And when I come back, like, I like would hopefully really like to date her again. That's like, go on a date with her again. Like, not like I want to date you continuously. I think that like you guys hit it off really well. And it's just a kind of a weird situation because it's not like, oh, we didn't really get along. I don't really like her. I'm going to like do this, but it hasn't been long enough that like there would be any sort of commitment or like promise that there's going to be something there afterwards.
Yeah, I get that vibe too. I feel like you guys went on a few dates and it might be like you said, she doesn't really communicate well through text message. She might be a person that's better on dates, but she might not have seen it like this was like just going on a date. You didn't see it turning into something bigger. And I don't want to have this come off the wrong way, but because this is the first time that you've gone out with a woman, you might be putting more emphasis on this because you feel so comfortable than when you've gone out with men in the past.
Yeah, it could kind of feel like your first date all over again, where it's like, oh my God, like all of that kind of excitement that you don't have the jadedness that you have. This is like, it's a whole brand new experience to that. And I think you're right, like that it is like she said, it's such a validating experience that like, oh, this was what was missing. This is what I was supposed to do all along. And kind of like the first time you fall in love where you can relate that to one person, like that power is not in her. Like that I could totally see how like the first time, like it's like the first time you orgasm with somebody, like, and then you're like, oh my gosh, like it's, oh no, that was me. That's not necessarily like this other person or you. But I would also say that like, I think the communication, the lack of communication thing might also be to kind of set up that boundary of like, I'm going to be gone in like New York doing this internship. Like, I think you're really cool and like would definitely be down to like go on another date with you when I get back. But like, I don't want to keep up. I don't want you to have that expectation. Like, you know, when you first start talking to someone and then they're like, they text all the time and then you like date for a while and then it's like, oh, you don't do that. Like, what do you mean? Like maybe she wants to maintain that like, this is, I don't want you to think that we're like 180 miles per hour for 3 weeks and then I'm gone.
Right.
Like that's devastating. Like, I think that this is like I think it would probably be helpful if it was communicated to you that was like what she's saying. But I think like when you ask, like, how can I know? Like you straight up just have to ask and just say that. And I like you. I wouldn't, I wouldn't do it here. Cause like, this is again, like an internship and it's not like, sure, you can meet someone when you're having an internship, but like, it's also like, I'm sure it's probably just like a lot of work and just focusing on that stuff. And all of my friends who had New York City internships hated them. Like, we're miserable.
I can't even imagine going now.
Can you? Awful. Awful. But yeah, I think that like if you can end things on, not end things, but like you've left off with this person like on a great note, I would maybe say, text them and be like, hey, I know I can kind of like, I've kind of alluded or I've kind of picked up on, and tell me if I'm wrong, that you're not like necessarily a big texter. Like, I don't want to like obviously bother you when you're in New York. But if you like do want to text or you ever want to text, like I'm always around if you want to hit me up, but like have so much fun. Like, and I'd love to see you when you get back if you're interested, and just kind of leave it there because then there's no expectations of maintaining anything away. And I also am like, I'm very against people, not like long distance relationships where you meet like separate and then you come together. I don't like the kind of relationship where you meet and then you're like, where you develop a relationship almost entirely over text before you get to know that person. And then they're coming back like immediately after. Like, that to me is kind of just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. I think that you should use this summer to explore more because this is new for you and you can date other women and just see how you like that. I don't think you should like feel like you need to be in a relationship with the first woman that you've dated.
Yeah. And I think like you said, like that feeling you get on a first date where you're like, you felt so validated, like have as many of those moments as possible. as you can. And I think this is like, even if this person doesn't end up being like a massive, like your big love or whatever, you can always look back on like your first date with a woman being this like really fantastic and wonderful experience. And I think that's I think it's a great thing. And enjoy your summer. Hoe it if you want to hoe it.
Mm-hmm. Hot girl summer, man.
Mm-hmm. Oh, happy. Makes me so happy. I've also heard that that's like apparently, I mean, I've heard that through TikTok, that's like a large, like people are thinking that that's going to be like a lot of people come out of the pandemic. Also because there's a thread on Twitter about it. And it was like, oh, women who like realize that like when they're not forced to be around men all of the time, like, oh, they actually don't like men that much. And it's like, so that makes that Wonder Woman Island make so much sense. I'm like, yeah, they're not there. You're not thinking about them. Like, okay, I get it. Well, congratulations on all of this like self-discovery, and you sound so happy, and I'm so happy for you. And happy Pride. Don't blame them. So this is where someone else, a listener, will call in and give their own advice about a previous call from a previous episode. So if they have their own personal insight, or they have something that we missed that they thought about, or they've just got personal experience, friend of a friend experience, or they just love the sound of their own voice and want their opinion heard, which relatable. That's why I have this fucking podcast. So what episode is it from?
They talk about it in the call, so we'll just get into it.
Okay.
Hi, Megan and Melissa. I was calling in actually for a Don't Blame Them from Season 7, Episode 26, your most recent episode, the girl who's getting married. Congratulations, by the way, but has like the pervy uncle and like the bitchy aunt or whatever. So yeah, I just had some advice to offer about that. I actually just got married a couple of months ago in April after my whole family and my now husband and I were fully vaccinated. So my aunts and uncles actually did not attend my wedding, and neither did my dad, but that's another story for another day if you want to ever hear about that. But I do have some aunts and uncles that are pretty shitty people just all around, just with decisions they've made. Some of them have been arrested for things, and I didn't really want them at my wedding either, so I totally get how she feels, and I can relate. So my dad and my mom, they're divorced, but they both helped financially with the wedding. And one thing I do have to say is that just because they're helping financially does not mean that they should get to make decisions for your wedding. And the way that I went about that is that I had a very point-blank conversation with my parents, like, are you helping out of the kindness of your heart, or are you helping with the expectation that you're going to be making decisions? Because if it's with the expectation you're going to be making decisions, thanks, but no thanks. I would like to plan my wedding how I want to. So definitely go ahead and clear the air there. I think, though, as far as how to go about the situation, I think if your mom is on your side and you feel comfortable approaching your dad with her, definitely use that to your advantage. I think it's nice to have somebody in your corner because, one, that makes you feel validated, and you feel like you're not crazy for not wanting them there, because I felt the same way. But I think Megan and Melissa are absolutely right. When I got married, I was not paying attention to anybody, even though my own dad and aunts and uncles weren't there. I literally didn't give a fuck. Like, I was not paying attention to that. You're so wrapped up in marrying the love of your life and enjoying that day and dancing and drinking and eating that you're not worried about them. So I think you just need to evaluate how much it would actually bother you, because from, hindsight is always 20/20. And looking back, I wouldn't have cared. Like, I didn't care that there were people there on my husband's side that I didn't really care to be there. And my own aunts and uncles and my dad didn't show up. And at the end of the day, I still had the best time.
Makes total sense to me. I think all of that makes a ton of sense. Weddings are Yeah, I also think that I also am a fan of like the idea that weddings should be multiple days so you actually can see everybody, but that can work in your favor if you don't want to see certain people.
Yeah, and that also gets pricey too. So
yeah, I do. Those are my favorite. I mean, that's a lie. Maybe it's just simultaneously Mods' friends who did a destination wedding that was a couple days. Everybody just extended for a couple days. I just think I also liked it because I love them. So maybe that's part of the reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think all of his friends, it's like 3-day affairs, everything. Yeah, like everything's like 3 to 4 days. That is it for our episode. I hope you all enjoyed. If you want to call in for an upcoming one, you can leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976. International listeners, you can send us an audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. All the same rules and requirements apply. Please be 18 or over. Have your parents' permission. Write it down. You've only got 3 minutes. Practice it. Get it all out there. And give us as much detail as possible. I had a brain fart. Could you tell? Just like stopped.
Short kind of got like fuzzy in the eyes. But also I did too, so I didn't know if it was me or
both of us. If you want to watch the video version, we're on Patreon. Also, if you just want to support the podcast, we have live streams that we do on our $5 tier, only $5 a month. Twice a month we do these live streams. They're really fun. What did we talk about this past week?
Well, we talked about Ellie Kemper.
Oh my God. We all learned about it. Was like breaking news at that moment. So it's literally just like 15, 20 of us all like typing sounds like, what are you seeing?
Because you were like, Melissa, what's going on in your glasses? And I was like, everyone just go look up Ellie Kemper.
It was great. And it's the best. So that's our $5 tier a month. And if you want to do more, you can always input how much more money you would like to do for supporting our show. And there's no requirement to join the live stream. So if you're like, hey, I'm a financially responsible, making dollars bitch, and I would like to support your show, but like, I don't really I'm too anxious, or I don't really want to have that stresses me out. You don't have to come. It's okay. Think of it like an open invitation whenever, but we're going to keep inviting you, but you don't have to come. And even if you never come, we will never think less of you.
Right.
You know, it's always the way it should go. And leave us a review on the podcast app. Should we see if there's any new ones?
Sure. Been listening for 3 years. Webkin's lover. Was that right?
You are correct.
Does it mean something?
Yeah, it's like it's kind of like, do you know what Neopets is?
Yes.
It's kind of like Neopets Club Penguin, but you would it was like you could buy a stuffed animal, and then it also existed in your the game,
Okay.
It was what do you fucking call it? Multi-vertical cross-platform integration. It's great.
Okay. I have been following Megan since Megan Rosette Halls, and I love this podcast. Good to hear their perspective and know other people experience the same problems as you do.
Hell yes. Thank you for
5 stars.
that dramatic reading. We're happy to hear it. We love the reviews. And if you feel so inclined to leave a nice review, please do. It helps us a lot. Rating it 5 stars, and then also wherever you listen to podcasts, subscribing. That also helps. Trying to get those ads, y'all. Because again, we're not Barstool. Thankfully. Well, okay. We will see you all next time. Goodbye. Don't Blame Me is a production by me, executive produced by Melissa D. Montz, edited by Katrina Henning, and music by Ryan Hunter and Giacomo Picasso.
Listening to a podcast should be time well spent, and I promise it will be if you'll give this podcast a try. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in every episode, I talk with leading experts on topics I know you will find fascinating. From why people can't keep secrets, what your favorite music says about you, why your pet acts in strange ways, and so much more. Something You Should Know is designed to give you information you can use in your life and give you great intel that you can share with others. I'm told it's a binge-worthy podcast. And with over 1,000 episodes, there's a lot to binge on. Something You Should Know has been ranked in the top of the Apple Podcast charts consistently for a long time. I know you're going to like this. I just need to get you to try it. Something You Should Know. It's available wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hi, this is Rob Benedict.
And I am Richard Spate. We were both on a little show you might know called Supernatural.
It had a pretty good run, 15 seasons, 327 episodes.
And though we have seen, of course, every episode many times, we figured, hey, now that we're wrapped, let's watch it all again.
And we can't do that alone. So we're inviting the cast and crew that made the show along for the ride. We've got writers, producers, composers, directors, and we'll of course have some actors on as well, including some certain guys that played some certain pretty iconic brothers.
It was kind of a little bit of a left field choice in the best way possible.
The note from Kripke was, he's great, we love him, but we're looking for like a really intelligent Duchovny type.
With 15 seasons to explore, it's going to be the road trip of several lifetimes. So please join us and subscribe to Supernatural then and now.
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey, y'all, I'm JJ.
Hey, guys, it's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests who share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to like speak of them or talk about them or in any way like portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like, it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? Where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out Real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.